We're joined by Shiraz Mahir, an expert on Iraq and its troubled history. So just how bad is it then?
I think this is incredibly bad. ISIS is taking a lot of territory across the north of the country. It's already taken territory in the west of the country. It's getting closer to Baghdad. To think of it in terms of sort of British terms, they're about the distance from Birmingham to London. That's how far they are from the capital right now.
And they have the capability to take Baghdad.
They have the capability, certainly, to launch an attack on Baghdad. I think if they were to get there, a number of Shia militias from the south would begin to mobilise and to repel some of that. And you could begin to see the type of situation you're seeing in Syria, with quite protracted conflict, with different sides dug in, and this kind of very brutal, attritional warfare taking place.
But you say it's the militia that's going to come and try and combat them, not the Iraqi armed forces. I mean, that's the concern here, isn't it, that the armed forces were the ones that ran away rather than face up to them?
The armed forces are completely ineffective. You can't think of them as a conventional military force. They operate on localized terms, so when ISIS came into Mosul, they just melted away, and they've done that in other parts of the country. They are deeply disillusioned, they are disaffected. They're not the way we would think of a normal, ordinary, standing military.
So we don't want to go the situation of Syria, do we, for the rest of the world, apart from the poor souls in Iraq who are already fleeing? What's the solution in your view? Because William Hague has already said no British troops. America said they'll offer support, but no real detail on whether that means any kind of military threat.
Well, I think this is the problem right now. Jihadists have taken large chunks of territory in the past. They've done it in Somalia, in Mali, or in Iraq in 2003. But every time there was an external force willing to come in and tip the balance on the ground, so the French went into Mali, we were, of course, in Iraq in 2003. At this moment in time, there is no external force that's willing to go into Iraq to help that country. And so I think you are seeing the emergence of these groups now, such as ISIS, which are very, very brutal, which are very millenarian in terms of their outlook, and they are holding space in effectively ungoverned territories.
Why did the British and American forces not see this coming?
I think for a number of reasons. ISIS had been pushed back. It was really in decline until the war in Syria started. They then moved up into Syria, and they've been re-energized by that. They've received a huge influx of foreign fighters that have come from Europe, from the Gulf, North America and North Africa. They've received a lot of money as a result of that, and that's really allowed them now to generate a head of steam, which is pushing them and driving them further into Iraq.
And do you think then that it could become a humanitarian crisis? We're already seeing military problems. That's the concern as well, the wider concern.
We've seen up to 500,000 people now who've left Mosul, and so you will begin to see large numbers of people fleeing the areas where ISIS takes over. Wherever ISIS moves in, people tend to want to move out because of the nature of their draconian rule and the brutality and arbitrary manner in which they dispense justice. So I think, unfortunately, you are going to see another humanitarian crisis emerging right now.